Let's do some hiking at Petit Jean State Park. Known for spectacular views and incredible rock formations, Petit Jean State Park is also an amazing place to explore and to do some hiking. We started the day at the Cedar Creek self-guided trail. It's not super difficult, but part of the trail was closed because of prior heavy rains. At the trailhead, you'll see the old pioneer cabin that was built by John Walker in 1845. 9 years later, Owen and Jane West bought the cabin and raised 9 children here, 5 of whom were born in the cabin without any medical help. As I said, it had been raining pretty heavily just a few days before we got here, and as soon as you started down the trail, you could really hear the Cedar Creek babbling along. As you come upon Cedar Creek, you run into 2 beautiful, smaller waterfalls. At this point, since one of the bridges was closed due to the heavy rain, we turned around and headed back. You know, it's really hard to tell how big some of these stones are, so my wife stood in front of it just to give some perspective. Since we had had so much rain, we decided to check out Cedar Creek Falls, so we headed to the Cedar Creek overlook and checked out the crowning jewel of Petit Jean State Park. We were incredibly blessed. On the day we were there, the falls was absolutely spectacular. The waterfall's 95 feet, and it's one of the most photographed waterfalls in all of Arkansas.
If you're a bit more adventurous, you can take the path that they call the Scout Trail. It's a bit steeper, but it'll take you over to that observation deck, and you can view the waterfall from over there. And if you're really adventurous, you can take the hike down into the cavern where the waterfall falls. But the climb out is really steep. Lots of stone steps and it can be kind of slippery. But due to the fact I'm in my middle 60s, I'm not that daring.
Next, we headed over to the Bear Cave Trail, or what some call the Bear Cave area. The huge rocks and the crevices in the rocks are absolutely astounding. Bit muddy in here. Now, this is the entrance to what they call the Bear Cave. I mean, you know, who knows whether a bear lived here or not? Could have been. But we're gonna go with the Bear Cave. As we came out of the bear cave, we came across a young man climbing down the rocks. He had just finished up an afternoon of rock climbing up much higher and steeper cliffs that he was coming down. So after checking out the Bear Condo, our next stop was Seven Hollows Hiking Trail. As we started, we decided to head to the natural bridge first because we were running out of daylight and we wanted to see that. The trail at the beginning is pretty easy, but it does become moderately difficult with some areas that can get a bit steep, so just use some common sense and hike at a comfortable rate. We encountered some young people who were ending their hike huffing and puffing. Keep in mind the trails close at dark and the woods are thick, so manage your time. Of course, when it rains a lot, the creeks and waterfalls are beautiful, but the trails can be a bit muddy. But you know what? Even after a long day of hiking, a babbling creek next to your trail can really energize you. It's bluffs like these that gave Native Americans shelter from the elements if the weather turned bad while they were out hunting. Again, just to give you some perspective on how huge these rock formations are, I had my wife, Pam, stand under the ledge. I mean, seriously, how can you not stand in awe of something like that? As we continued our hike, we came across another cave that could have just as easily been a bear cave. Listen, don't be that person who sprays graffiti on our beautiful caves and rock formations. Leave them the way you found them, natural and beautiful.
It looks like you can go further back in that cave, but not me.
The beauty of the rock formations and the forest and this trail as a whole is just absolutely gorgeous. You've got to make sure you take this hike. The natural bridge is straight ahead.
Okay, I kinda lied. The natural bridge isn't quite straight ahead. The trail before you get there is rocky, it crosses creeks, and it gets a bit steep. You know, sometimes when you look at things, you just have to say to yourself, God's amazing. Think about it. One side of the entire formation is held up by this one small spot of rock on rock. The sun was getting lower in the sky.